In this video, we're going to be talking about how to write linear inequalities. So what we're going to do is the opposite of what we did last time. Last time we were looking at inequalities and then creating the graph. This time we're going to be looking at graphs and then writing the inequalities. So the first thing to do when we're working on this is to determine the equation of the boundary line. So to do this, we can use y equals mx plus b to help us out. Because remember, that's what helps us determine the equation of a line as long as we know the value of m and the value of b. So looking at this equation, or at this graph, we can say that this line has a y-intercept at -4. Now we need to figure out the value of m, which is the slope. To figure out the slope, I need to pick 2 points that are on this line. So if we pick 2 points on this line, this path that goes between the 2 points will be here to here. So I go up 1, which is +1, and then I go right 2, which is +2. So the slope will be +1 over +2, which equals 1/2. So if I write this as an equation, this will be y equals 1/2 x plus -4, which is basically y equals 1/2 x minus 4. But I'm not looking for an equation, right? I'm going to look for an inequality, so I need to rewrite this like y and then some inequality sign, 1/2 x minus 4. So now we need to work on figuring out the inequality sign. So to figure that out, I'm going to pick a point that's within the shaded region. So I'm going to pick like this point right here, that is 0, -5. So if I plug in those values for x and y, I get -5 and then something 1/2 times 0 minus 4. So I have -5 and then some inequality sign. 1/2 times 0 is 0 minus 4. So I have -5 and then some sign 0 minus 4, which is -4. So now I need to figure out the relationship between -5 and -4. Well, -5 is less than -4. So I'm going to use the less than sign. Now I need to figure out whether to use a less than or equal to or a less than sign. Well, you can see from this graph that my boundary line is solid. So if it's solid, I'm actually going to use a less than or equal to sign. So that is how I determine the sign. So when I finally write this inequality, it's going to be y is less than or equal to 1/2 x minus 4. Now let's try this one. Let's write the inequality from the graph. So if we look at this graph, remember we have y equals mx plus b to help us start off. So we have m equals something and then b equals something. The y-intercept is at 2, so I can see that b equals 2. Now let's pick another point on the graph to figure out the slope. So I'm going to pick this point right here, and then this will be the path between those 2 points. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, so that's -2. And then I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, so that's +3. So I have down 2, right 3, so that my slope is -2 over 3. So if I write this as an equation, I have y equals -2/3 x plus 2. Now I need to figure out my inequality sign. Well, 0, 0 is actually a point that's in my shaded region, right? So if I use 0, 0 for x and y, I can plug in to figure out my inequality sign, right? I have y and then some inequality sign, -2/3 x plus 2. I've chosen to plug in 0, 0, so I have 0, some sign, -2/3 times 0 plus 2. So that means I have 0 and then some sign, -2/3 times 0 is 0 plus 2. So I have 0 and then something, 0 plus 2 is 2. Well, if I think about the relationship between 0 and 2, 0 is less than 2. So it's less than, and then notice that I have a dotted line in my graph, so that means it's going to be staying as a less than sign. So I have y is less than -2/3 x plus 2, and that is my inequality. So you can also write inequalities from situations that are described in word problems. Remember, we're going to look for these important phrases that tell us which inequality sign to use. So let's look at this problem. A family is ordering hot dogs and hamburgers for a family reunion. The budget is no more than $100. Hot dogs cost $2 each, and hamburgers cost $3 each. Write an inequality that represents all possible combinations of hot dogs and hamburgers that the family can buy. So here it says the budget is no more than $100, okay? That no more than is a very important phrase. If you look back at the chart, the no more than tells us that we need to use the less than or equal to sign. So that is going to be the inequality symbol that I use here. So I have hot dogs for $2 each, hamburgers for $3 each. We're talking about the combination. So combination means putting everything together. So that's adding. And then hot dogs, which is X, hamburgers, which is Y. So if we're talking about the total cost, okay, so we're going to say hot dogs plus hamburgers is no more than, so that's less than or equal to $100. So let's figure out the cost of each. Well, hot dogs are $2 each, and we're buying X hot dogs. Hamburgers are $3 each, and we're buying Y hamburgers. So 2X plus 3Y is less than or equal to 100 is my inequality. So Valerie works 2 part-time jobs in order to earn enough money to meet her goal of making at least $240 a week. Her job in food service pays $10 an hour, and her tutoring job on campus pays $15 an hour. How many hours does Valerie need to work at each job to earn at least $240? So we see we have this at least popping up in our word problem. So let's go back to the chart, and then at least you can see here is that greater than or equal to sign. Okay, at least is the kind of tricky one. Okay, at least means that you're making more than or equal to that amount. So we need a greater than or equal to sign. We're talking about the total amount of money she makes. So she makes money in food and she makes money as a tutor. So that has to be greater than or equal to $240. So her food service job pays $10 an hour. So we'll say 10 times the hour she spends in food, plus she has $15 an hour tutoring. So let's say 15T, and that has to be greater than or equal to 240. You can pick any variables that you'd like to use. I just chose F and T because we were talking about food and tutoring. So that is the inequality sign, the inequality that represents this word problem.